These are what the solar winds look like. We had a tree come down, but it's not one of ours. I think it belongs to Mel and Alec, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything on the other side. But we have been getting hammered with these winds. I just had to go in the back. My hawthorn tree was tipping over again, so I had to take all the slack out of the rope, and hopefully I've got it tight enough. It was a battle. But so far my little oak tree looks okay. Doesn't look like I'm having issues. Looks like the roots are deep enough. But with that hawthorn tree, it gets so top heavy. And it was pulling right out of the ground again. Now it's settling down a little for the moment. But anyway, I've had to stop working under the trees. I will have to show you what I did in the back so far along the side. And I don't know how to pause it and start it again. So we'll try it this way, just walking around. Anyway, I've been pulling out the weeds, getting the weeds out, getting the blackberry shoots out, because it all comes from the neighbor's yard. I trimmed back all the ivy once again. I just did that about a month ago, and it was all overhanging by about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. And I took care of all the tall yellow weeds in the back. This is another day's project. I've got to clip this all down because it's too high. And it's competing with my lilac back there. It had totally taken over my blueberry. Not that the blueberry does anything. Oh, I see some yellow flowers I missed. Blueberry has not bloomed and had any berries on it ever. It doesn't like that spot. But this is all some of today's work. And as I said, with the winds being so high right now, I heard the crack of the tree when it came down, and I was up here in this corner, which is way far away. Those are my 2 piles. I've got a big pile in the wheelbarrow yet to dump. I've got one down that I just stepped on. This poor little tree you couldn't see the tree. This is a big leaf maple that I planted years ago that I've been babying. And it was all covered up with silver lady vine. So I had to get that out of there. It had taken over this whole corner. My neighbor has got blackberry bush in there that I've tried to get as much clipped as I can. But I'm going to go after it again with my big clippers because I don't want it on my fence line. But these, see, I have a pathway now. These are all honeysuckle back here. And these are Sala or Sala, I don't know how you pronounce it, berries that are native. And it's nice to have a little hedge of them, but not when it takes over the whole garden. And in here I have a blackberry bush that keeps trying to grow every year, and I can't dig it out because it's intertwined with the roots of this. And this is an evergreen huckleberry, which also is a native. And I would rather that than the blackberry. But anyway, I had big, tall blackberry canes coming out. So now those are gone. And I actually have made a pathway that I can get around and go down that way. I took care of the ivy that was back here. And now maybe the hummingbirds can find the honeysuckle eventually. This is going to give my lilacs a lot more room to grow, which will be nice. But see, there is a pathway. And I do have native Oregon grapes that grow naturally. And those can stay until I can't walk around them. And this is the honeysuckle that has already started to bloom. So that's where I'm at right now. Ivy's been clipped back. Uh-oh. See one of my blackberry clippings that I missed. It ended up in a bush. Toss it down there so I can grab it more easily. So yes, it's time to go in, and it's noon. It's time to go in and have my cocoa and my donut, because I never eat before doing all of this because I don't like bending over my belly on a full stomach. But this is another part of my jungle. And as I said, I did this about a month ago. And with the wet rain and the cool temperature, this has gone crazy. One of the next projects is getting the silver lady vine off of my son's shed's roof. My son's shed roof, okay. And that I have to use a rake and long clippers. And that's a hell of a job. This was his idea to plant this lovely silver lady vine here on the fence. And I'm the one that takes care of it. And I'm getting a little bit too old for this. So I think next year he may have to call somebody. Because I can't keep up with all the work. Especially if it's going to be so wet and cold. I mean, this is perfect temperatures and conditions for all this stuff to grow like crazy. And it is. I had to get in here and I had to cut and pull the this salal berry stuff out of here because I've got daisies and I've still got more salal to pull out. It's never ending this year. I could use another trip to Hawaii. And once again, you know, these seeds are coming down like crazy. My patio is covered again. And I just swept it. I thought I was done. And as I said, I think the trees are trying to tell us something. That very possibly, you know, they're running out of enough oomph to give us the oxygen that we need to breathe. So they're trying to produce more. So think about that concept. Maybe they're smarter than we are. People need to stop cutting down the trees and putting oil wells in. Anyway, enough said from Lynn from Port Orchard, Washington, with high winds today. This is what happens when we get the coronal mass ejections. We get the high winds and strange storms, but mostly the high winds. And after the 4 or 5 days that we've had of rain, this wind is not good because these big guys can come down. And as proof of that, my neighbor had one come down. It was a red alder, which is what normally comes down around here. But let's see if I can get it on camera. Not going too far in. So let's see if I can pull this in to where we can see it. I can't see my phone because I'm in the sun. There it is, right there. That just snapped and came down. But I think it's far, far enough from the other people's property so that it's not gonna be a problem. But that just happened. So I'm going to go inside and call it a day. Bye now.